Good day. Welcome to another edition of Our Conversation at Our Carmichael. Today we have a distinguished guest, Mr. Alfred Poitier, speaking to us on money management, a much needed topic in our society. I'd like for you to join us. He has some great information to share with you. Mr. Alfred Poitier, do your thing, man.
My name is Alfred Poitier. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of National Workers Cooperative Credit Union. I've been working in the financial services industries for about 26 years. So today what I'm talking to you about is personal financial management. And the reason that we're going to do this is simply because a lot of people don't understand how important personal financial management is in their day-to-day life. So I'm going to tell you what personal financial management is, and personal financial management is simply managing or organizing the way that you spend your money or budgeting your money. What do I mean by this? Keep in check on your money in Bahamian terms. I want you to understand that if you don't keep check on your money, you're going to find out that you're going to be in dire straits. You're going to be in financial difficulties. Old people used to say that you can't spend more than you make. Unfortunately, in today's world, we always spend more than we make. You may ask, how do you do this? Well, you do it by using credit cards. You do it by borrowing from other people. What we want to do in this presentation is to help you be in a position where you don't have to do that. So we want to make sure that all your bills are covered at the end of the day, and you have some money left put aside for emergencies or a rainy day. As we go through this presentation, I want to outline things that you should know, that you should make a note of. And one of the first things that you should make a note of is a budget. What is a budget? You also want to know what is disposable income, and you want to know what are expenses. You most definitely need to know what are your future needs and the difference between future needs and future wants. As a matter of fact, you're also going to learn what discretionary income is and how important it is to know the difference between discretionary income and disposable income. As we also go through this presentation, we're going to talk about financial poverty. And the definition of financial poverty is completely different from the poverty that you would see on TV or what they portray to be poverty on TV with regards to children in Africa or India somewhere starving with bloated stomachs. We're also going to talk about financial wellness, because at the end of the day, this is where you want to be. You want to be financially well. So this presentation that we're going to go through today, the objective is to ensure that you are financially well. So personal budgeting. What you really need to know is, what is budgeting? Budgeting is simply planning how to spend or save your money. A lot of times we make real big mistakes in budgeting or not budgeting that affects our personal life. So I want you to understand, budgeting entails listing your revenue and expenses as well as intended savings. As we go through this process, you need to understand why you should budget. And you should budget simply because if you fail to prepare, then you're preparing to fail. That's the bottom line. A budget is your roadmap. It helps you to get where you want to go financially. If you don't have a budget, you basically have really and truly no financial plan, no plan as to where you want to be financially. The budget is that plan. You prepare a budget so that at the end of the day, you can reach your desired goals financially. So, how do you budget? My thing is, you make it as simple as possible. The basic concept of budgeting is actually very simple. We try to complicate it. We try to use big words, financial jargon, but really and truly, listen, all you need to know about budgeting is it's a simple process. You keep it as simple as possible. For those of you, if you are computer literate and you can use a spreadsheet or whatever program that you may be able to use, that's fine. But budgeting can be as simple as getting a blank piece of paper and a pencil, sitting down and writing all of the money that you have coming in on a regular basis and all of the expenses that you have. And the more simple it is, the more you're inclined to follow it. So let's get on to the pen and paper. and listing all the revenue. And revenue, I'll explain. Listing all of your expenses. We'll also explain expenses. Future needs, we will explain. Future wants, we will also explain. And there's this thing called pecking order or priority. You have to make sure that you list the things that are most important first. Those are the things that you put first in your budget, and those are the things that you deal with first when it comes down to your paying your bills, etc. So let's explain revenue so there's no misconception. Revenue is any payment from your salary, a job, allowance from a parent or significant other, family, friend, etc. Now, if your godfather gives you $100 every once in a while, or if he sees you at Christmas or maybe on your birthday, you know, that's not something that you're going to put into your revenue column when you're doing a budget, because that's not consistent. You only want to put consistent income, and we'll talk about that some more. Rental income, if you have rent coming in every month, every week, however it's done, yes, that would be included in your revenue on your budget. Investment income, if you have fixed deposits, if you have shares in a company where you are paid every quarter, every month, every week, consistently, those are all included. If you are on pension, if you're getting a pension from the government, if you're getting pension from NIB, if you're getting pension from you know, wherever, and it's consistent, yes, that will be part of your revenue when you're crafting your budget. Any form of constant cash inflow. Now listen, let me be real with you. If you buy numbers and you thinking that you will win, you can't include that in revenue on your budget, because that's not sure. So remember I said we were going to talk about disposable income and discretionary income. Well, there are two types of income, and the two types of income are disposable and discretionary. Now the problem is we often confuse the two. Disposable income is all the income that you have coming in on a consistent basis. That's your disposable income. Now, be careful. Disposable income does not mean that that is income that you can do anything you want to do with. All that means is that's what's disposable to you at the time to cover all of your living essentials, all of your living needs. So if you have mortgage, rent, school fees, all that other stuff, all that comes out of disposable income. Now, discretionary income is your income after all of your regular expenses would have been taken out. Okay? What's left after that is your discretionary income. Why is this important? It's important because this is the money that you can then use if you want to go on a date, if you want to buy a new pair of shoes or whatever, because you would have covered all of the bills that you have to cover on a regular basis. This is the free money, discretionary income, so you can spend it at your discretion. Make sure that you understand that, because people who don't understand that find themselves in financial hardship. Expenses are utility bills, school fees, rent payments, auto, property, life insurance, loan payments. You're talking about groceries. Any cash payment for goods or services are expenses. So ladies, when you want to go to the hair salon every week, that's an expense. If you got to buy hair, buy, you know, weave, your makeup, whatever else there is that you buy on a regular basis, those are expenses. And you need to budget for them. So we want to also talk about future needs. What are future needs? Future needs are things that you must have in the future. Things that you must have. For example, if you're a young person and you presently live with your parents, but you're out of school, you've been to college, you came back, you just got a job, you know that at some point you must get your own roof over your head, because you don't want to stay with your parents forever. So that is something that you need to plan for, right? Unless you have rich parents who are just going to give you a house. So things that are necessary for you in the future, future needs. So down payment on a house, saving for a rainy day. Let's just say you work in the hotel. Well, you know that there's a slow period in the hotel and chances are you won't be able to work a full week. So what you need to do is, when things are good and you're making that full week pay, you need to save some money, put some money aside in the event that your money is not coming in the way it should. You'll still be able to cover your expenses. You also need to save for things that you don't plan, that you don't, that can happen, that would affect your day-to-day life. For example, you rely on your car to get to work, drop the kids to school, etc., etc. Well, cars are mechanical, so from time to time you may have a problem with your car. You should have some money set aside in case the car breaks down. You should have some money set aside in case a pipe bursts in your house and you need to have a plumber come in and fix it. So those are all future needs. You can't calculate every one of them. You don't know for sure that something would happen on a given day, but you should have at least something towards or save towards things that are uncertain but are possible to happen. Future wants are simply things that you would like to have. If you don't get it, it won't change your life any. It won't make your life worse. Future wants are not priority items, so you would have them way down to the bottom, basically, when you're talking about budgeting in your expenses. So, for example, a vacation. Some people may say that's a necessity, but really and truly, if you don't go on vacation, would you die? You'd like to change your car. Mind you, your car's running perfectly well, there's no problem, but you saw a newer model and it's sexy, so you want it. That's a want, that's not a need. You'd like to go to Miami to buy new clothes. Again, a want, not a need, because if you have a full wardrobe and you just want to buy the new trend or whatever, it's a want, it's not a need. So that's the difference between needs and wants. Let's talk about a sample budget. Remember I said get a piece of paper and a pencil. When you talk about a sample budget, you want to include of course, we spoke about all of your income, so your disposable income first. So whatever the disposable income is, that total amount, you'd write that up top on the paper. Then under that, you would start listing your expenses. If you go to church and you tithe every week, every month, however it's done, you put that figure in. If you pay rent or mortgage, put that figure in. If you have a car payment, any other loan payments, you put those in. If you're on an ASU, unless you have the last draw, that's an expense, because every week, every month, every day, however the ASU hand is done, you have to make that ASU payment, so you need to include that in your budget as well. You also have to include things such as light bill, water bill, cable bill, of course gas for your car, gas for your house. We spoke about medical insurance, life insurance, school fees, grocery bill, personal grooming, all that stuff. All of those are expenses that you need to list. Once you would have listed all of your expenses, you need to also make a determination of how much money do I need to put aside each pay period so that I can be able to prepare myself in the event that I do have an emergency, in the event my car breaks down, in the event I have to hire a plumber, if I have to seek medical attention, all that other stuff. So once you determine that, that would also be included in your expenses. And you literally put that aside in a special account that you don't touch unless you do have an emergency. This word poverty, we often look at poverty based on the perception that is put out on TV. You talk about, children in Africa starving, in India starving, malnourished, all that other stuff, they're in poverty. Well, the reality is, if you want to talk from a financial standpoint, those children are not in poverty. Poverty, financially speaking, for the intent of this presentation and to help you understand truly how important managing your finances is, poverty is simply when your expenses exceed your income. In essence, You don't make enough money to pay your regular bills, your regular recurrent bills. When you get to that point, you are living in poverty. So that means that there are people who can be living in life with key, multi-million-dollar mansions, driving the best cars you can imagine, Benz, whatever else. But in order to live that lifestyle, they have to borrow money every month to make ends meet. They are literally living in poverty because at the end of the day, that credit line will dissipate. They won't be able to continuously borrow to get money. And what will happen? That dream that they're living will be gone. Well, financially speaking, poverty, and I'm repeating this because it's very important, poverty is when your expenses exceed your income. Unfortunately, that's a stark reality in our country. A lot of us, whenever we get paid, we have to go and borrow some additional monies to take care of our bills. So keep in mind that if you don't want to find yourself in poverty, you need to personally manage your finances. And the way to financial wellness, if you are already in poverty, is the same way to stop you from going in poverty, which is you have to have a budget. Remember what I said, your budget is your roadmap to your financial success. So financial wellness is simply ensuring that your financial affairs are in order. Your financial guideline or report card is simply how well you stick to your budget. So once you would have done your budget and executed your budget, you should be financially well. Now, I started to say earlier that if you are already in poverty, you still have to do a budget. And the reason why you have to do a budget if you are in poverty is it's even more important for you to do the budget, because that will actually, once you list all of the expenses, you need to start looking at which expenses that you can get rid of, because you're going to have to start cutting. Maybe you buy lunch every day. Well, if you're really in poverty, you have to cut out buying lunch. You'd have to take leftovers or take food from home, or cut down a meal or two. Stop going to the hairdresser. Stop going to the barber. These are all small things that add up in the whole scheme of your financial situation. They're just examples of things that you can cut. But if you find yourself in poverty, the only way to get out is to restructure. And restructuring means change your lifestyle, change your spending habits, cut out things that are wants. You have to deal with your needs. You can't get around not dealing with the needs, but the wants you can cut out. It's not always a quick fix. Sometimes it takes years if you find yourself in the hole of financial poverty. But the bottom line is you have to stick with it and ensure that at the end of the day, you have a budget, you follow the budget, and you will definitely get to the position you want to be financially if you keep abreast with what you have planned in the budget. With that said, thank you for your attention, and I trust that this presentation helped you to be financially well.